again. I'm Professor Darrell Jackson, and this lecture will be on business licensing and permits. How to get your business started. If you're planning to open a business, then you will need to obtain the requisite business licenses and/or permits to get your business off the ground. There are usually nominal fees associated with obtaining these licenses or permits. Business licensure serves several purposes. It gives you the legal authority to participate in your business or practice whatever craft that you're involved in. Business licensing can provide legal authorization to conduct business in a particular state, town, or locale. In most areas, it is illegal to conduct business without the proper permits or licenses. Remember, it is illegal to do that, so you want to obtain this right off the bat before you do anything or participate in any type of commerce-related activity. When an owner for a business license or permit, when you're applying for it, you have to fill out the requisite forms and inform the authorities of the type of business you plan to participate in. State and local agencies need this information to properly zone you and for other regulatory and statistical purposes. Throughout this lecture, I will allude to Alabama as an example. Alabama has, for example, a tax registration. Businesses that operate in Alabama are required to register one or more tax-specific information or identification numbers, licenses, or permits. Those may include income tax withholding, sales and tax or use tax, which is a seller's permit, and also unemployment insurance taxes. Now, I use Alabama because I happen to physically be in Alabama at this particular time, so I thought it might be good to reference Alabama state laws. But each state has their own licensing and or registration processes. Excuse me. The employer identification number, or as is commonly known, EIN. Employer and employees, business partnerships, and corporations must obtain an employer identification number, or EIN, from the Internal Revenue Service. The EIN is also known as the Employer Tax ID, and that is Form SS-4. And just for an aside, the IRS number to obtain your EIN number is 800-829-4933. Business licenses. Your particular state will have guidelines dictated by statute that will determine if your particular business entity will need a state-issued license. All professional licenses, for example, are including physicians, accountants, and of course attorneys, etc., will have to pass a specific exam given by their state to conduct that particular business area or practice in that particular business area. So you must first pass that exam, get certified by that particular state, and each state has their own exam. Each state has their own exam for each one of those. And you'll have to pass that before you can actually engage in that particular area of business. Let's talk about local permits. You will be required to apply for permits and licenses from your local government, and that can include your city or your county. Every locale has different requirements. Some common types of local permits or business licenses include maybe signage permits, health permits, occupational permits, alarm permits, business licenses, of course, we mentioned earlier, tax permits, building permits, and also zoning permits. State corporate filings. One of the most necessary and probably pressing things that you will have to do when you're starting out your business to determine what type of business entity it will be. If your corporation is if your business is a corporation, a nonprofit, an LLC, or a partnership, you must register with your state as your state regulatory agency, usually that's going to be the Secretary of State that does all of those type of filings. If you will determine whether you're going to be a nonprofit, LLC, or a corporation, these things typically go through the Secretary of State. Let me give you one important caveat with regard to that. If your business is going to be, or you're going to be acting as a sole proprietorship, you do not need to register your business with the state. However, most states require a sole proprietor to use their own name unless they formally file under another name as a trade name or a fictitious name. So, using myself as an example, if it's Daryl Jackson's Flowers or Daryl Jackson Floral, then that's fine because that incorporates my name. So that would be an example of a sole proprietorship, and it does not need to be registered with the Secretary of State. Doing business as are typically, as we in the common vernacular use, DBA. A fictitious name filing, also known as doing business as or DBA, allows you to create a name for your business that is different from your personal name. Just before I was speaking about the sole proprietor using their own name. Now I'm talking about a doing business as, which is a fictitious name that incorporates the names of your partners or the officially registered name of your LLC or corporation. Alabama does not require you to register a fictitious name. However, businesses may elect a trade name with the Secretary of State's office. Employer requirements. Federal wage and tax statement, or better known as the Form W-2, must be filed on an annual basis. Employers must report to the federal government any wages paid and taxes withheld for each employee. That means all employees working for that particular company. The federal income tax withholding, or Form W-4, every employee must provide the employer with a signed withholding exemption certificate on or before the date of employment. So these are things you must do beforehand if with regard to the W-4 when you make your election for how many exemptions you're going to have. You must, of course, pay your state taxes if there are any required by your particular state. And last but not least, they're withholding income taxes. The IRS maintains you keep a record of employment taxes for at least 4 years. Employee eligibility verification. Employees hired after November 6, 1986 must provide proof of eligibility to work in the United States. Federal law requires employees to verify an employee's eligibility to work in the United States. Within 3 days of hire, all employees must complete an eligibility verification form, commonly known as the I-9. And most of you out there will recognize that this is a form that has several different types. You must provide several different types of identification to verify that you are in fact eligible to work in the United States. And that was the cause for that. New hire reporting. All employees are required to report newly and rehired employees to their state's directory of new hires, typically within 20 days of their hire or rehire of that person. Insurance requirements. There are two commonly known insurance requirements, and that would be the unemployment insurance tax and the workers' compensation insurance. So you need to make sure that you have those. Anytime you have employees there, this will be something that will get you strict scrutiny from the government. If you don't have these, you need to get them, or put them in place before you actually start up your business. There is a requirement, particularly in the federal government is very sticky about this, workplace poster requirements. Federal posters, and these they are dictated by the U.S. Department of Labor, or UDL. You must have these prominently displayed throughout your business so that the employees will be apprised of their safety rights and or concerns. And you typically see these. OSHA is one of the most prominent ones that has to be displayed in your business. state posters, and these are also dictated by the 50 states and or the territories. They have to be prominently displayed also, as per state guidelines and or statutes. In conclusion, there are several things that you might want to add to your checklist, and these are included but not limited to tax registration, withholding taxes, business and professional licenses, local permits, corporate filings, DBA registration, employer reporting requirements. The I-9 form is critical, insurance requirement, extra critical, and your workplace posters. As usual, additional resources. If you want to follow up on any of the things that I've said or get some further references, you can consult FindLaw, Black's Law Dictionary, Westlaw, Nexus, Lexis, and also lawinfo.com. I am Professor Darrell Jackson, Bachelor of Arts from Grambling State University, and also Juris Doctorate from Southern University Law Center in Baton Rouge. Thank you.